Hello and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. We are playing. Ooh, it's hard to say. So let us. Come on. Let me click you. There we go. Okay, it is 1.2.0.1520. Oh, kind of blends in with the background, guys. Maybe you should, backlight it or do something to make it more visible. Make it yellow. There you go. You can see yellow over pretty much anything, right? In any case, welcome back. We have some contracts to explore Kerbin, which really means dock two vessels in orbit around Kerbin. Again, I think that's a glitch, but a low priority one, so they're not going to be like going and fixing that necessarily tomorrow. Maybe they will, but maybe they won't. So, I'm going to try and see if I can quote unquote cheat. Not really cheat, but kind of game the system here a little bit. Oh, look, they got new. Oh, look at this. I just noticed this. Okay. So they got new icons here. So ground. Interesting. Thermal. Ooh. They separated that out. Ooh, interesting. Communications. Interesting. Science. So the comms are no longer in the same as science there. Utility. Electrical. So the electrical has been separated out from the utility. Interesting. I like it. I think it'll make things way easier to find in the long run. So I am a big fan indeed. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start off with one of these ear-destroying protective shells, and I think for those of you that are in the know what I am about to try and do. So you know what I would do, guys. By the way, if anybody in squad is watching, I would separate the decouplers from the structural. I think that would be a good move. Like all of these decouplers, the radials, and the stack separators as well. Speaking of separators, I think that's what I'm going to use. And so I'm going to just stick it right there for right now. I can always grab it and move it later, but I think for right now, can I stick it right here? I can. But I'm going to stick it right here. And we're going to build off of that. So the first thing we need is actually a, from utility, one of these Clampotron docking ports. In fact, because we have that, I don't think I'm going to need the other piece. Right? Because you just right click on one of these puppies and enable staging, baby. And then when you hit that stage, it will decouple. Just like a stacked decoupler, only you can redock with it. Okay, and then we're going to go with one of these Probodobodynes, OKTOs. And then we're going to use our new handy dandy electrical thingy majigger, and we'll put a battery on there, and we'll put some of these photovoltaic panels on there. Let us put 4. I'm actually going to put them over here like this. Yeah. Okay. And of course, for communications, you're going to need some comms. So I'm going to put this like this now. That's 0.07, 0.015, 0.005. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these on here. Because even at being asymmetrical, it's so small of an amount that it'll be good. I think I need to point it the other way. Like so. Yeah. And then I don't think we're going to need these relays, but I think I might put them on there for the sake of creating my relay network. Once these things are done with this contract, then I can extend these out to be part of my relay network. Now, what I might need to do is stick this guy right here, and stick these right here. I think that makes more sense. Okay. Got lights here. I kind of want to put lights on there, but they're so big and heavy. They're not that heavy, but they're so big that I kind of don't want to. So I'm not gonna. Okay. But this is going to need, we are going to use some RCS. And we need to figure out where their center of mass is. The problem is we have a lot of center of mass down this way. Let's take this down here. Could at least give us a closer representation to the center of mass, I would think. And it's probably going to be actually higher. Get some new place anywhere RCS ports. I think I'm going to stick these right here. Like that. Okay. And bring this back up to here. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a separator to there. And then I'm going to do 1, 2 of those, and 1 of these. And I think what I'm also going to add, I'm just going to add it at this point. That's not what I wanted to do, but that's okay. We'll fix that in a second. One of these and small inline reaction wheels. And I probably want to put an extra set of these just to even them out. And then when that separates, it'll stay. I can maneuver with either both sections on or just the one relatively easily. And it looks like it will fit in there, just barely, but it will. So I might put it on the other one just to give it the room. And then what I can do is I can Alt click, turn this sucker around, and attach it to the top there. And looky what we got. We got basically a docked thing. I'm going to undock it and then redock it. I don't know if that'll work or not, but we're going to try it out. And then worst case scenario, I have 2 comm satellites and I was unable, and I'll have to go and dock at one of them with a second craft. Worst case scenario. So this is a win-win. It'll test the theory out to see how easy it is to game it, which I don't think you should do it this way, but I want to see if you can, because the whole point of this pre-release, besides letting me show you guys what's going on, is to find bugs. And while I think this is more of a, it's less of a bug if you can do it. It is something that I think the game developers would want to know about and would want to be able to address. I'm going to do clamshell deploy on, ejection force, we put the maximum. 2 sides is good enough. And then we'll start building our fairing. Now you can stage or unstage the fairing, and you can put on an auto strut. So as far as I can tell, what auto strut does is it struts things without actually using struts. It makes it to where it is rigid to a given point. So that solves many problems with like wiggle. Used to be you had a really long craft, and it was like super long, and you had docking ports and all kinds of stuff that were weak, and you would start to get what is known as a procession, right? Where if you put, especially if you used SAS, you'd put SAS on and you'd put it to just stability assist, the standard stability assist. And what would happen is, because this thing was flexing on you, your attitude based on the part that was at the top, typically, right? Just like these are at the top, and then you get the rest of it, but think bigger. It would change direction a little bit, and so then the computer on the ship would say, "Oh, we are no longer at the correct attitude. We need to adjust," and so it would start to turn things. Well, it would turn things, even though this was it was going back and forth like a pendulum, and eventually what would happen is you would actually start getting that pendulum motion more and more and more and more until you would get unstable. And so what they're doing now is, if I want to auto strut this, I can, it says heaviest part, and you could see where those orange lines went to the heaviest part, which I guess was like somewhere in here. I probably like that one. I could click it again, and it could go to the root part. Well, it's not going to show the orange lines because in this case, the thing that I'm auto strutting is the root part. But then I can go to grandparent part, or to disabled, or to the heaviest part. I'm going to go to the heaviest part. That seems fine to me. And so wherever this part moves, this part is going to move in the same way. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to auto strut that to the heaviest part. So that, wherever this moves, so will that. And that's going to keep things nice and rigid here. Okay, let's go ahead and build our fairing. This should be relatively straightforward. I'm going to bring it up to here, and then you can start bringing it in like that. Perfect. All right, I'm going to shift and then click and bring this thing up. And then, we just need to get these to orbit, and that's it. So I think I'm going straight to my ascend stage. I'm not going to put an enter stage because I don't need the delta V. We just need to undock these and dock these in orbit. And if that's not the case, well, then we're just going to use their onboard fuel to do our thing. Okay, we got 2 of those, and we'll put one of these Reliant engines on the bottom there, and then we'll go to aerodynamics and stick the tail fin on there like that. And then I think for the sake of safety, I'll go ahead and put a radial decoupler or 4 on there. And then I will go and I will stick one of these thumpers on there. I don't think I'm going to need the kickback. I think that's overkill. So I'm not going to use the thumper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the move tool and turn my toggle snap off by doing Control C, and I'm going to move this down like so. And what that's going to do is that's going to push the tops out when I decouple and reduce the likelihood of a rud occurring because of interaction between these parts in mid-air. And we're going to go back to aerodynamics, and we're going to put cones on top. And then we're going to go to each of these, and we're going to say auto strut, heaviest part, and auto strut, root part, perfect. And then we're gonna put stabilizers, and we'll put Control C back on right there. And then we're gonna shift, click, bring this sucker down. Don't have to do this part, but I choose to. And we just put it just above the launch pad. And I think that is a ship. Now we need to worry about our staging. So first stage is going to be these and those. And then that's going to go on the next stage. So I'm going to do it like that. And these decouplers will go on that same stage. And you have decoupler, engine, yeah, so that's not right. So I'm going to have this engine and which decoupler? Wait, what's this engine? Ooh, that's the wrong engine. Ooh, we want to move that out. This engine goes down here. There we go. That's why you do this now. Okay, and so this engine is going to go with this decoupler here. That engine and that decoupler. And that'll go first. And that makes total sense to me. Then we'll have the second engine, but not that decoupler. We're going to have this decoupler with that engine. Alright, and then we'll have these, and by that time they'll be separated, so they'll be in the same stage, but on different craft at that point. And this fairing is actually going to come, I think, yeah, it's going to be between 4 and 3 here. So, bam, right there like that. So there's our staging. We're going to call this docking ComSats. Yeah, we're just going to call that docking ComSats for now. And we'll rename them when they separate to ComSat 3 and 4. Or 4 and 5, I think, actually. Is there anything that I am forgetting? So, don't need parachutes, don't need lights. Science. You know what? We should put some science on this stuff. And the reason you put science on this stuff is because you never know. You never know. So I'm going to go down to 1 and put one of these on here and one of these on here. And then I'm going to go over here with the prismat barometer and sideways and there and there. Yes, sirree, Bob. Okay. Now, what about communications? Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's our thing. We got 4 comms on here, but they are these communicatrons. They don't go through the atmosphere. They are behind the protective shield, but I'm going to need something that goes through the atmosphere. So I'm going to stick this puppy on right here. I don't know if it's entirely necessary, quite frankly, but I'm thinking it is, so I'm going to put that there. Also got the relays there, and so we got all 3 kinds of antennas on this puppy. I think we're good with the photovoltaics and stuff. I think we'll be able to at least make it up into orbit before we need to get more. Pardon me. Before we need to get more electricity. I don't think we're going to need any of the radiators, and we certainly won't need the heat shield. Don't need to land this sucker on anything. Got the aerodynamics covered, I think. Nope. And I don't you may need, might be helpful to have one of these right here. We want to move this up a little bit so that it doesn't stick into the floor. And I'm good on engines and fuel, and yeah, I think we got it all covered. So we're going to save that, and I'm going to go ahead and go over to here, because it always looks cooler when you do it through buttons. And I'm going to go to the brakes stage, and I'm going to click on these and toggle antennas. Click on these and toggle antennas. Click on those, toggle antennas, and then click on those, toggle antennas. So when I hit B, those will extend or retract depending on what their current status is. Okay, save that and launch. All right, so here we go. We're launching at nighttime here, and quite frankly, I want these to be counterparts to COM Relay 03. So I want them to go in a polar orbit. Now I want one polar orbit to be this way and another polar orbit to be perpendicular. So one that way and one perpendicular this way. And about the same distance out from Kerbin. What that'll do is that'll create a three-way axle, so that I don't know, I can't imagine unless they were all three like converging on, no, because there'll always be one that's out. There's never a time when all three are in the same spot. Could there be? Because if two are in the same spot, the third one is going to be off of that axis somehow. So they'll never be in the same spot. So there'll always be at least one odd man out, which will give you a greater coverage, and that should allow it to where no matter what, you're always connected to Kerbin. I believe that's the way to go. I could be wrong. I'm not. I'm just thinking this through. I'm sure there are other people that have put more thought and have more knowledge on the subject, but that's what I got. So we're going to launch in a polar orbit, and so because of that, I'm going to wait till we're like halfway to the sun. So at least we're in the sun when we get up. And by halfway in the sun, I apparently mean the other side of Kerbin. Right here, like this. Yeah, like that. So that way, the sun is coming up. Perfect. Okay, T, we don't need to do Z since we got that new option, and we set it for maximum thrust, which is nice. So at this point, I've been playing Kerbal Space Program so long that I'll hit Z anyway, just because TZ is just such a natural, automatic thing for me now. But yeah, I'm not gonna make you guys watch this whole thing. So I don't know. Maybe you want to see Polar Orbit again. I've done it in my Reach for the Star series. I haven't done it in the 1.2 series. So you know, I can commentate, and you can just fast forward if you don't want to listen to me commentate. So when you're doing a polar orbit, you know, you're either going directly south or directly north, but you don't want to, and I'm starting my gravity turn now, go directly north or south, because Kerbin is rotating, and when you get into orbit, you're going to want to have counteracted that rotation, because your ship is rotating, or your craft is rotating with Kerbin. So what that means is we want to go slightly west. If you're going south, you go slightly west, and if you go north, you still go slightly west, because you are counteracting that eastward radial velocity. And otherwise, you're basically doing the exact same ascent profile that you normally would. This is going to be pretty steep because we're going to put it in a high orbit. There's no need to do it close at 80 kilometers because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going into a higher orbit, so I might as well go ahead and just start with the higher orbit. That's also going to make my inclination changes much less costly because no matter what, if I'm going to use one of these, I'm going to need to change the inclination by 90 degrees. So I'm going to need to have that cheaper inclination change. We're almost out of our solid fuel. I should be able to actually down here, but I'm not going to push it too much. I'll push it hard now, but I'm going to come back to my prograde before I stage, just so that I don't run into any issues running into my solid boosters and therefore create a RUD. So there we go, and we are clear and good to go. Go ahead and click on this and it'll go over to orbit. You can see you want your orbit to be aligned with the north. Once the orbit's aligned with the north, then you can start burning straight north. And so it doesn't matter how far over you burn. The further over you burn, the quicker you're going to counteract that, and the less efficient you're going to be. So you don't want to be going like at 270. That doesn't make sense. But I go right about in this line here. That's typically where I'm doing it, which is where I'm doing it now. I'm going to go ahead and go to 45 degrees here. And this looks like it's pretty well on the northern track here, so I'm going to move my attitude back over to north. It looks like I went a little bit past north. I'm not sure. Yeah, just a little bit, but overall that's pretty spot on. So no, I want my heading to be basically 360 or 0, which is the same thing, I guess, right? And what's our apoapsis looking like? 115. I'm gonna start burning towards the horizon. My altitude is here. You've noticed they've added icons. I mentioned this in one of my previous posts, to where they have like little curvy lines coming out of the satellite for your relays, and they have a different satellite that's pointing the other way and does not have the little curvy lines representing a signal coming out. So yeah, that's looking great. I'll keep on burning towards the horizon here. We got a large orbit, so there's that stage. And so we're gonna go ahead and F5. What's our periapsis? It's not quite out of Kerbin actually. So I do want to be careful because I want these to both basically, I do want to go ahead and get my bearing though. That's fine. That'll look good. See, I'm out of this stage. I didn't put an ender stage, which maybe I should have, but basically at this point I'm separating these, and so it's time to dock. Now I don't know, for this the contract, does it need to be explore dock 2 vessels on or around Kerbin? Okay, so it doesn't have to be in orbit. So we're going to F5 this, and I think I got plenty of time, 18 minutes, that's 37 minutes, so I think I got plenty of time to do this docking maneuver. So I'm going to try it. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put these in the same stage, okay? Stage that, and for some reason it staged here. Staged again. Oh, and That's a problem. That's why you F5, F9 to reload. Whoops. Let's try that again, shall we? Okay, so X to zero out my throttle. Go ahead, put these in the same, and then hit my stages. And now I'm still on this stage. That stage is dead. And that's good because that stage will go back and burn up naturally. So now we got this one. Are they docked? I'm going to just try and back off. So they are one vessel. Undock. Interesting. So they were, even though I put them on the top and the bottom of that assembly here, and I'm going to put T here, and that has a T. Okay. I don't need the R though. We're going to set as target, and then I'm going to switch back, and we're going to set as target. And this one I am going to have the R on because I'm going to burn back towards it. I don't know. We'll see if this counts as a docking or not. But so going back to my finding though, so these were actually considered docked. All right, did I get the note? Attach two different vessels together near Kerbin with a docking port or a claw to achieve this goal. Okay, so that's your answer right there. Because they were two from the same vessel, they don't count. Which makes sense, and I'm glad that they thought about that ability, and that's something you could have done a long time ago. But not only that, but if you attach the one to the top and one to the bottom to the thingamajigger, the thingamajigger being the fairing, I don't know, that structure that they put in there. There's a word that I want to use and I can't think of it. I'm so sorry, guys. My brain is just failing me today. But in any case, it will act as if that wasn't there when you decouple from it. That's kind of an interesting thing. So, yeah, okay. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and leave them docked, and I'm going to shut this engine down. And I'm going to get them both into the higher orbit. So at apoapsis, we're going to burn, baby, burn. And we want to match this guy who's cruising around 37, 38 kilometers. So this apoapsis is going to go to 37, 38 kilometers. $55, a little bit too much. There we go, 37.5, perfect. Now I'm going to correct my attitude. Now here's another thing you need to make sure you're doing. Which one is active? This is the active one, so we need to make sure that we are controlling from here. And you see, yeah, I was controlling from there, which would have been a problem because we would have been basically going in the exact wrong direction when we burned. Okay, there's that. Let us go ahead and warp to there. Okay, I'm going to hit R and H, and I'm going to burn this way as well. because we all know that monopropellant is not as efficient as your fueled engines. I'm using my monopropellant at quite a high rate. It's okay. Yeah, I'm going to leave the monopropellant alone now at this point, just to have it for actual docking maneuvers. Let me go back to map view. Oop. We run out of fuel on this one. We indeed have. So I'm going to go ahead and decouple that. I'm going to press R and press R and move out of that guy's way a little bit, so when I burn, I'm not hitting those things. And then I'm going to control from here. And I'm going to activate this. I don't want to burn that direction though. I don't need my RCS on anymore. See you guys later. That other piece is already 67, 68 kilometers out. All right. So we're almost there now. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, I'm gonna burn a little bit slower now. A little bit faster now. Everybody stand up and shout. Put your hands up and shout. Okay. Yeah, 36. Yeah, we'll make that better. Yeah, there we go. F5. All right. So then what I want to do is at this apoapse here, I want to try and go ahead and increase the periapsis to be about the same. Which tells me I'm not quite burning at the right time. Maybe if I zoom in on this thing a little bit. Kind of making it hard to see. Oh, there we go. Keep that up. It's hard to get it right on that periapsis, or apoapsis, or whatever. That's more like it. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. And we'll go ahead and press B. Now notice we were still able to move it around even though these were not deployed. That's interesting. Interesting indeed. I'll go ahead and take some snapshots of this. Where's Kerbin? Kerbin's down this way, so. There we go. Let's put it back to auto. Okay, and then we're gonna warp to here. Somehow, my apoapsis is far less than it was at one point, which is not cool. But they had fixed that at one point. But this is an experimental build, so clearly they've rebroken it. Good for them. We're still going to burn this roughly the same spot. And I'm going to say, click on this and just like jiggle it a little bit. There we go. And we got to re-evaluate. So, I'm going to do 33 there. Interesting, interesting. I mean, that'd still be good enough, but okay. And then we'll like warp to there. All right, warp complete. Still 37 minutes out, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit more, and I'm just gonna go burn just straight prograde. I'm not even gonna worry about this. I'll look at monitor my apoapsis and my periapsis, and go from there. There we go. That's pretty close, right? Pretty good. All right. So now what we need to do is at the North Pole, basically, we're going to want to burn one of them at 90 degrees, basically. And so we're just going to burn at that triangle there. We're not going to actually perform the maneuver. We'll look at it visually. We'll F5 this. At least we got the one. And I'm going to go ahead and release this, undock. That will be the satellite that stays on this track, and this will be the satellite with the little bit of fuel that it has. That moves on to that performs the maneuver essentially. So I'm just going to have it warp to here. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to have it move towards the triangle there and burn. Now I'm not moving with the triangle. Oh, but notice that my escape has come out because I do need to move it with a triangle. So actually I need to go back here, bring it back in to 36, and we are out of fuel. Just fine. We got plenty of monopropellant, I think. And then we will decouple that. And continue on with the H key until that gets back to 36. Okay, that's close enough. And so now I'm going to untoggle the RCS and then retoggle it when I'm back on the triangle. I'm going to try and keep with the triangle as it moves. I think I'm going to try and like burn right here, I think. Till it looks like it's just about 45 degrees. Getting there. We're almost out of monopropellant, which is a good thing that we're getting there. And I think I need to get back over here. That's about as good as you're ever going to get right there. Ran out of fuel. All my fuel. I see log temperature. Oh, we get science from it. Space high over Kerbin. Okay, well, I'll send that back. Transmit it. Now, we used a lot of electric charge on that compared to some of the other things that we've done. But, yeah, we're there. So now we have 2 satellites. And actually, we have 3 COM satellites, COM relay. So I need to rename this one and rename the other one too. So let's rename this vessel ComSat Relay 04. You see, you get the relay and the probe, which is nice. And the other one's plane. That's a new one. Those are all the old ones. Yeah. So you got the plane and the relay added there, which is nice. I mean, just a little thing. No big deal. It's not like if you didn't have that, the game would have been ruined. But it's kind of nice to have it. Docking ComSat's relay switch 2. This will be 05. Rename vessel. 02. Oh no, 05. Accept and bingo. So now we have 3. We have 04, 05, and 03. 02 is around the moon, and 01 was the attempt to do what 02 ended up doing, and it failed. It flew by the moon and ended up in this funky orbit around Kerbin. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. And that's it for this episode. So thanks so much for watching. As always, if you like what you see, please like this video. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, subscribe. I'll talk to y'all later.